Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Recap, a guy's review. As you can see from the thumbnail, this video is about Emmanuel Acho. He was on the Late Show with Colbert last night on CBS, and he, spoke a lot of truth about some issues going around in Bachelor Nation. It's always nice to hear from an outsider. Like he's getting paid to do After the Final Rose, to be the kind of interim host for the episode. But again, at the same time, it's nice to see somebody who's not so steeped into Bachelor Nation. Like he can just come in and be like, "What's going on with this? This happened over here with so and so." He's kind of almost like a super fan who's willing to have these tough conversations. So I'm going to get into what he said about Chris Harrison's role on the show moving forward. And again, if you don't know who Emmanuel Acho is, he wrote this book called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. He was a linebacker in the NFL. And he has a unique story where he's first-generation American. His parents are from Africa, and he grew up in an all-white neighborhood in Texas, then played football, University of Texas, with a majority black team, and then in the NFL. So he's always wanted to have difficult conversations with people about race relations in our country, because he kind of realized, we're not having conversations. People are afraid to ask questions. People are afraid to, just have this dialogue. So anyway, that's what he's been up to with his YouTube channel, and because of the success of his YouTube channel, having difficult conversations with a black man, uncomfortable conversations, I should say, it's become kind of the thing that he does, and it's been very unifying. Of course, not everyone agrees that he's taken the right path, but his views are not to cancel people, but to sort of educate them that they should have consequences, but also it's better to educate, move forward, as Mr. Dyson says, or Dr. Dyson says, counsel, not cancel. Not everyone has that point of view, but a lot of people do. A lot of people think, all right, it's a time to educate ourselves, grow from our past ignorances, and move forward. So I actually already made this video, and it got taken down by YouTube because I can't play full-length clips of him on the TV show. I tried my best, but he was, so I'll just read a few clips, and then we'll play one right after it. Bachelor's Emmanuel Acho teases Matt and Rachel's incredible connection ahead of the finale. He said, "Rachel is currently dealing with all this racial tense controversy, so that would kind of obviously skew my decision as a black man if I already knew about said controversy, but I think what's so interesting is watching both of the love connections play out." So no spoilers here. He talks about that basically Matt's got the choice between two finalists, Michelle and Rachel. And it's going to come down to, whatever his heart decides is the right move. But as Emmanuel says, if he had to make the decision, it would be skewed if you see that someone you fell in love with has this past of ignorance. And is your love strong enough to move forward past that? That's kind of the question that we have. Maybe it's not true love if you can't get past someone's past, or do you see that their apologies aren't as authentic? Whatever the vibe may be, we'll have to see how it plays out. Emmanuel said, "I think Matt and Rachel have an incredible connection, just affection. Matt admitted he was falling for Rachel first, and Michelle and Matt, they really vibe, and we saw it and continue to see it over the course of the season. I can't speak for Matt, but I'm excited to watch it play out." So there you have it, and then let's play this quick clip. Hope it doesn't get taken down. This is Emmanuel Acho. Examines the circumstances surrounding Chris Harrison's temporary departure from The Bachelor and the big decision looming for the future of the show. Again, if you want to watch this full video, you can just go on YouTube. The whole interview is on YouTube. You can go check it there.
Harrison, who has been the host for 20 years and has recently stepped aside during this moment, he tried to go to the defense of Rachel Kirkconnell in an interview with Rachel Lindsay. And Chris Harrison, he was, as he would admit, was ignorant and was arrogant in saying that, well, in 2018, what Rachel Kirkconnell did wasn't that bad. Chris Harrison's words, not necessarily my own. And we've all kind of acknowledged and called to the attention, no. In 2018, it was just as bad. We are more aware now, but 2018, acknowledging and dressing in the attire of an antebellum South plantation is just as bad as it is right now today.
So, what's really good about what Emmanuel's doing here, and this is what we kind of, we always have these knee-jerk reactions to sound bites, and the truth is usually, like they say, the devil is in the details. The truth of situations, of understanding someone's comments, what they mean behind it, it's more complex than that. It's more complex than a quick statement. So the question is, what did Chris Harrison mean when he said that times were different in 2018? And did he get it wrong? And obviously he's apologized several times, so I would think we can all agree he did get it wrong with what he was saying. But what Emmanuel says is that there's ignorance there and arrogance. Now, obviously, times weren't different in 2018, but the idea that the Black Lives Matter movement hadn't really taken effect yet, the idea that people were ignorant in 2018 in a way that they are not now, that has more merit to talk about than saying, oh, times were different. Because times were different is just a quick answer, and it's very complicated. It's got way more to do with like, no. People have been fighting for social justice for a very long time. Lives have been lost. People march in the streets, people, boycott. So much has gone on. So the times weren't different in 2018. You were different in 2018. And I think I can see what Chris Harrison was trying to say. At least I think I can. But what Emmanuel Acho is so good at is he's willing to have these conversations and say, look, times weren't different. You were different. You weren't there. You were ignorant. Your head was in the sand. And when we can realize that, and then people go, you know what, you're right. You're right. This is for whatever reason, whatever biases I had, wherever I come from, my media sources, my social circle, that's the issue. Okay, so rather than just saying, you're wrong, you got to be fired, Emmanuel kind of has a little bit more of a sort of a way to critically think about it, which I think is what we need in our country. Now, no one should have to have the burden of teaching everyone else all of these things, but Emmanuel seems to really enjoy, I don't want to speak for him, but he seems to really enjoy having these conversations because he knows that at the end of the conversation, there's a place where people can agree on more. You take people that are on the left, people are on the right, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, libertarian. You get people in a room to have real complex conversations about what their goals are in life. Most people can agree on more than they can disagree on. The problem is that we say, here's the line in the sand, what side are you on? And we kind of create this binary system. I'm either for Chris Harrison being fired, or I'm against cancel culture. It's like, it's a little bit more complicated than that, folks. Let's give these conversations the respect that they deserve. It's a little bit more complicated.
I think that's safe to say. Those are his words, not yours.
Very safe.
Okay, so here we are. So he steps aside temporarily from those duties. Do you have an opinion about whether he should be dismissed for good for this, or is this an opportunity for education and redemption for someone?
Yeah, I don't believe in cancel culture. I do believe in accountability. And so I think that right now he is taking accountability for his actions. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That can be a law of Newton, or that can just be basic common sense. He had an action, and he is currently dealing with the reaction from that. Should he return to that role, you have to decide what's in the best interest of Chris Harrison, what's in the best interest of the show and the executive producers, but also what's in the best interest of the cast. They're trying to commit to diversity. You had your first Black Bachelor. What's in the best interest of all three of those primary parties at play, and make the decision that serves the most good?
I get so annoyed from certain commenters that aren't happy with what I talk about. And I know in the majority, like I said, the majority of people understand that these complicated circumstances, that there might be a scenario where Chris Harrison uses his journey that he's on to educate people that don't think anything he said is wrong. So that would be a good scenario, in which case he continues his platform for the greater good. And the greater good being just that everyone has equality, that there's equity within the behind the scenes of The Bachelor, the storytellers, the people that create the content from the reality situations. What kind of stories are we telling? Are we giving voices to different people, in different diverse groups, so that it's not just stories being told through the perspective of one editor? If you give somebody 100 hours worth of footage and you give me 100 hours worth of footage, we're going to come up with two different things, because we just come from different places. So to the people that, because I get it on both sides. I get the people that go, no, cancel them, and I get the other people that go, I can't believe it, you don't, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, listen, like I said, it's a little more complicated than that, because while we want accountability, and I've said this all along, what's the real goal here? equality is something that we can all understand where we're all coming from, getting everyone to the bargaining table to actually have discussions. I don't believe that happens if you just get rid of Chris Harrison. I don't believe that the X amount of percentage of people that are Chris Harrison fans that don't think anything was done wrong, I don't think you help flip their mind if you get rid of Chris Harrison. Likewise, if you just bring Chris Harrison back, oh, good, back to the show. Emmanuel Acho hosted one episode, let's go back to the show. I don't think that there's any accountability there either. So it's kind of complicated, but the start is to show that you're changing, moving forward, and then you can at least say, okay, well, I'm skeptical, but I'm watching closely. Let's see how it goes. It's almost like, you got 2 strikes on the show. I'm watching. What moves you're going to make? And as everyone knows, the show's just trying to cash paychecks, so it's up to the audience to kind of vote with their dollar. And if you don't like what they're doing, it's your right to change the channel. That's just how it works. If you do like what they're doing, support them. If you like what I'm doing, support me. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to twist this into a quick self-promo. Tasha and I have a podcast called The SAP. It's short for Sex Actually Podcast. We share our relationship with you guys. We talk about dating. We interview comedians about their dating lives. This episode, 432, is available across all audio platforms where you can find podcasts: Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes. If you have an iPhone, wherever you listen to podcasts, 432 is on there. If you want the private episode, I've got the private version of this, the video-only version, as an unlisted episode, and you can actually join the Patreon membership community. Get back to your car and just take a knee. And
meanwhile, this is mid-corona. This person probably thought you were patient zero.
Well, this is what's
in their front yard.
This is what's interesting with when the human body takes over.
You didn't even feel ashamed.
Zero shame. When you gotta puke, zero shame. It's like my body doesn't have the energy to feel shame right now. I'm going to vomit on my fiance's Prius. So more of that, folks, if you understand and like personal conversations. A lot of people have said, bring Tasha on more. Tasha and I have had a podcast for 6 years. We do it every week. So if you want to support the Patreon, there's a link in the description. You can go support that. $5, $8, $12, whatever you end up donating per month. That helps us directly, and we appreciate that. And if you can't afford it and you want the free version, the audio version is available. Just go to sexactuallypodcast.com or just search the SAP, and you can be a part of the SAP community. So that's where that is. A lot of new people out there haven't heard that we do a podcast. So, and again, that's very safe, by the way. I'm out there, eyes on the road. I got it, no different holding the microphone. Tasha's got the ear monitor, so I don't want to hear, be careful on the road. Eyes are on the road. We love the acoustics of podcasting in the car because we can have real personal conversations as we move forward in life. That's what it's all about, folks, right? So anyway, because I was listening to this Emmanuel Acho interview here on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, it really reminded me of my comedic influences, and I just wanted to share something a little off topic for you guys. Some of my favorite comedic influences are Stephen Colbert on the right, Steve Carell on the left, and Jon Stewart in the center. Jon Stewart here. I love the bookends more. These guys are great. They were all part of, if you have Hulu, they were all part of a show called The Dana Carvey Show. The documentary about this show is fascinating. It's called Too Funny to Fail, and it essentially is about all these amazing comedians, and they were up and coming. The show lasted only like 8 episodes or 6, whatever it was. It got kicked off network TV so fast because everyone thought it was just going to be this like very light kind of sketch comedy, and it was a lot darker than that. The documentary is really funny. It talks about all the people that were in it, so go check that out. And no, they're not obviously sponsoring me. This documentary came out a couple years ago, but it's very interesting. I wanted to play a clip for you guys of why I love Steve Carell so much. I'll probably be talking my way through this, but this is from a lifetime ago. Watch Steve Carell's mannerisms. He is a comedic genius. It's so funny. My fiance Tasha doesn't like Steve Carell. She doesn't find him that funny. And I'm like, no wonder you don't laugh at my jokes, because I love the dryness and subtlety of Steve Carell.
And now, waiters who are nauseated by food.
Good evening. My name is Roger. This is my back waiter, Stuart, and we'll be serving you this evening. Do you need a few minutes before ordering?
Actually, could you tell us the specials?
Okay. All right. Our soup today is a creamy fish chowder with chunks of potatoes, corn, and scallops.
Punchline.
$7.95.
$7.95.
We have we have a milk-fed veal with a mint jelly. That comes with asparagus tips and an olive caper sauce.
Now, let me just tell you something, because as far as irreverent humor goes, there's a premise, then there's a setup and a punchline. The premise is, here's some waiters that are nauseated by food. Okay, we get it. It doesn't make any sense. This would never exist, right? This would just random food. If we talk about food, it makes us sick. Stupid premise. I know I'm beating down a good joke here. But then you've got two different types of sketch comedy. There's straight man with the character, and that would be David Spade, Chris Farley. David Spade's the straight man. Chris Farley's the down by the river kind of guy, and he's the character that dances around the kind of stoic David Spade. Now you've got straight man, and then this right here is called two peas in a pod. So, and again, you guys know this all exists, but it's so fun to know these terms when you're watching it and you go, oh yeah, two peas in a pod. So the blank canvas here, the straight man in a two peas in a pod, is the environment itself, which is this 5-star, restaurant. The environment is they're dressing up nice. This is funnier than if it was like if they worked at a McDonald's. It's just funny because it's an absurd setup where they're supposed to be stoic. So the two peas in the pod are Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert. The fact that they can't keep their act together. You guys get it, but it's still funny to explain. Killing. They're killing.
1795. Today's seafood is flounder.
And then the other thing you see in sketch comedy and comedy in general is heightening, right? So it starts off very simple, like the first time Steve Carell just looks away, and then obviously they heighten to a place where they can't really heighten any farther. Then they'll bring it back down to like a normal level. Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. And then the punchline, like the final punchline, is like the final heightening, and then that's when it's over. So enjoy this.
It's sauteed in a spicy butter sauce and served on a bed of steam leeks. We also have a Cobb salad with a warm bacon cream dressing. Our final specialist chicken. Chicken.
Yeah, one word. He says one word.
You know what? I think we're just gonna skip the specials.
Lovely.
Okay, we're just fine.
Back,
okay?
bring it back.
Can we just have some water?
Back to normal. Water, perfect. Water. Back to normal.
Certainly.
And maybe some bread.
That's it, folks. Come on. Comedic royalty right there. Comedic royalty. One day we'll work with them, and I'll look back at this video, and you'll be like, oh yeah, Dave was a fanboy. Anyway, folks, that's it for me. Thank you so much for everyone who's been signing up for the mailing list. It's amazing. Tomorrow will be the first newsletter. I'm sending you a newsletter to your inbox, your Gmails, your wherever. There's a link in the description. All you gotta do is click it. It's free. The mailing list is free. Just put your email address in. You hit a couple things to prove that you're not a robot, and then you'll join the mailing list when we have stand-up tours open back up, when the world opens back up. Stand-up comedy. Merchandise is coming very shortly, like within the week. So merchandise is on the way. I'll be emailing people directly when that's all launched. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you later on 4 p.m. for today's live stream.